Welcome back, everybody. I'm joined here by Demon and Jason as we're going to look forward to the next match and also talk a little bit about maybe the words of the managers just there, because it is not easy for NIP. They've lost Bjergsen, they've got this whole new lineup, and have they impressed you with it?
Well, you answer that one first. It's your guest.
A little bit. I mean, losing Bjergsen, hell, just look at the impact he had on the LCS when he joined them. That was 0-9 or something crazy like that. Turned it all around. Big loss. But picking up Nuke looks a pretty big pickup as well. Also, how much exactly are they showing? They've got the promo series in 2 weeks' time. Chances are they could be up against TSM. Well, it's their choice who they play. So they don't want to give too much away. But also in the same vein, how much is really secret right now? We're already seeing Korea doing whatever they do, and there was a lot of stuff that we haven't seen today already. So chances are a lot of their secrets, I don't think it's going to be Sion mid, let's put it that way, are maybe already out there.
All right.
I think there was one thing that we did see, though, that kind of was off-putting to at least me. They still couldn't close out games.
Yeah.
That was a Lemon Dogs problem.
It was so much Lemon Dogs.
Exactly.
Scary. Yeah.
And now they're 3/5 Lemon Dogs, so it's kind of like, are they going to fix this?
Yeah.
Because they have to.
And we mentioned this in the commentary. I was talking about it, like, you know, it showed up at the Worlds. Suddenly teams went fast-paced. They couldn't handle it. Surely anyone that's coming up against them is going to be looking at that game and saying, guys, we know how to beat Lemon Dogs. You've got to go fast. Got to go hard. That may be what other teams will look at coming into the playoffs in 2 weeks' time.
And they also have Hercubot, who with SK Gaming used to have the problem of closing games out. So might that be a recurring curse here for all these people?
I think it's just because they're new. I mean, they're trying to find their centered caller, because I know there's a lot of people who can really voice themselves and try to figure out, you know, what works for us, because our strat that works for, you know, Team A might not work for them. So they have to figure their own groove out, and maybe that's what they're doing now with these games. Maybe they're also saving a little things like you're saying before for the qualifiers. It's really only time's going to tell us.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, we'll see what they have learned from this performance and what they will do tomorrow, of course, in the final. If we take a look at the updated bracket, of course, we're going to see that NIP bested TCM in the first game of the day. And we're, of course, going to see SK Gaming up against the Copenhagen Wolves next. So NIP might play the SK or the Copenhagen Wolves. Let's start by doing the rosters as well, because a lot of changes there. Let's take a look at the SK Gaming roster as it is now, because so many changes. We, of course, have in the top lane Freddy122 coming in for Kevin. We have in the jungle Svenskeren coming in for Hercubot. In the mid lane, Jess is filling the shoes of Ocelot. And that same German bottom lane, Candy Panda and Nif. So that's the team as it stands right now for SK Gaming. And, you know, there is just so much to talk about in this lineup. Maybe we kick it off in the top lane, as it is also chronologically how we started talking about this. But Kevin has always been a port in the storm for SK Gaming, who rarely had bad games. Are these qualities we also find in Freddy122? Maybe Jason or Demon?
Freddy122 was fairly stable, it has to be said. He was probably the most stable player in AAA when he was in the spring split for the European LCS. He was with Against All Authority. He was probably the most solid player, I guess, in that team. Maybe you could also look at the mid lane. He was pretty solid as well, Schleyer. It's great to see an English player back in there, but this is SK. This is SK right now. We're coming into season 4, and sure as hell, it's another new lineup. I mean, this is like a revolving door in SK Gaming, but they always seem to be there or thereabouts. So whatever teams they pick up seem to gel pretty well.
One thing that worries me, though, about Freddy is that if he doesn't get Renekton, he seems to struggle a little bit. And like we talked about many different players in the top lane or whatever lane, if they don't expand their champion pool, they're going to have a tough time in Season 3. And I think that might come into effect with him, though. I mean, you've had quite a bit of time to work on it. You had the summer split off. You cannot let that be a downfall.
And the irony is he's up against Youngbuck, I believe it is, in the top lane, who's also another great Renekton player. So there's a battle for Renekton straight away in the top.
Absolutely. Let's move on to the jungler position then. Svenskeren coming in. It's kind of a switch because he came from NIP, of course, coming in for Hercubot. What do you think? How do you think Svenskeren will gel with those other players? How will his champion pool gel?
Can I interrupt you? Because it's Svenskeren after all.
Of course.
No, he's a champion that Jason knows very, very well, so I'll let you take it.
Okay. I remember talking with Deficio back in Season 3 before they had the roster changes of him coming out, and he said one thing that changed between Svenskeren between the spring split and the summer split was he became afraid. He was scared to engage, scared to go for fights. And I talked to Deficio while we were watching those games just prior, and he was saying, yeah, we scrimmed SK, his fear's gone. He's playing fearless like he did back in the spring split, and he was like a huge rock for them then. I mean, it was all about Bjergsen, but he was always performing well in the jungle, and right now that can be very scary for any team coming up against him, and I think that's one thing that SK really needed.
Well, we used to talk about him and Deficio were the most improved in that spring split. They were the two players that just suddenly developed over the season. Absolutely fantastic. So if he's got back to that, he will be very strong in the jungle.
Absolutely. Remains to be seen, of course. And then, of course, that mid laner, Ocelot, is now in the sub position. And he's been replaced by Jizis in the mid lane. I don't really know how to pronounce it exactly, but I'm sure he'll tell us.
We're going with Jizis. I think that's
what
how
we're
we're
going
calling
with.
it.
Well, his name, so be it. But what do we think of his skill? SK has been performing really well in the We Play Invitational and the US Challenger Series recently, but we haven't really seen him absolutely dominate yet.
I think that's one thing that's really kind of scaring me about him. I know he's a good player. I mean, that's no doubt. But the question is, can he deal against these top teams? I've heard he's been playing against a lot of amateur teams, and yeah, he does really well there. But can he handle the pressure of being in an offline event, of needing to land, I'm sorry if Ocelot did this, but an Orianna ultimate that you have to hit, you know, to get your team to win a game? Can he do that? And really, time is going to tell us, and he's got to be strong. Like, this team has to know that they can count on him to really be a solid performer in that middle lane.
Well, I mean, this isn't his first offline event. He did the Red Bull Challenge recently.
Right.
But this is probably the first one that really counts, I guess it's safe to say. We've just seen Mac Noon, CJ Frost. He's now in the mid lane. He was missing the Orianna ultimates. He was feeling the nerves.
Very
and
nice.
if a player like Mac Noon's feeling the nerves, just imagine what it is on a guy that's basically come into the SK lineup to fill Ocelot's boots, one of the probably the most known mid players there is in Europe. There's a lot of pressure on that guy's shoulders.
Yeah, very much looking forward to that. But what SK does still have is their German bottom lane, Candy Panda and Nif, something that they've always been able to count on. And when they're good, they are really good. But can they really carry games all the time?
That's gonna be tough to do. I mean, as an AD carry and support, you're meant for the late game part of it. You're meant to, you know, be the person to go to for the damage later on. We've seen Candy Panda do so well. For instance, comes to mind Vayne in the summer split. He had a 16.4 KDA on her at one point, was undefeated on her until a little bit later on. And then you mentioned Nif, who we saw Elise come around as a support finally, back I believe at the end of the spring split, and he did so well. We saw him over in the Red Bull Invitational that he would land every single thresh hook possible. They're really a good combo, and they've had that synergy going for them for such a long time, but is it enough to carry the rest of the team? I don't really know.
Exactly. Well, Nif is out and out one of the best supports there is, and it's a great combo. It's been there since season 1 for crying out loud. They're in Game.D, then they moved to SK. They've been around this combo for a very long time. I'm hoping they stay together for a lot longer, but who knows? I mean, Nif is just, like you mentioned, the Elise he pulled off, and actually he's probably the quietest member of the team, or used to be, because obviously you had the shining examples. You had the Ocelot and Hercubot that everybody was looking at because, oh, they're so pretty. But right now, Nif is the man. Nif is the man in the team. Has he got the charisma, or more importantly, the what's the word? What is it? The word I'm after? The power that I know to basically demand what he wants from the team. Can he be the shot caller? Because who was the shot caller before? Was it Ocelot? Was it Hercubot? Who was making those calls? Because now they are the veterans in the team. They got these 3 new guys. Are they going to listen?
Yeah.
Yeah, he has to step up. He has to tell them, well, we need to do this. I mean, I've been in LCS for a long time, been playing for a long time as well. One thing that I really like about him, though, we took a shuttle back with a couple of SK members. It was Candy Panda, Ocelot, and him one time. And, you know, we were, you know, going to go out, you know, have a good time after the long weekend. And Nif was really quiet. I mean, he's always quiet, but he was exceptionally quiet. And I was like, you know, Nif, what's the matter? And he's all, you know, I'm just really disappointed with our performance. He didn't play bad at all that weekend, but he took that, internalized it, and he always wants to practice. Like, he always wants to practice, and he gets so good.
Maybe that is his chance now, if he always has that feeling, to step up and take that leadership role. But we will see. And of course, we're going to take a look at the new roster for the Copenhagen Wolves, of course, who the SK will be up against in the top lane. We still have Youngbuck in the jungle, Amazing coming in for Shook in the mid lane, Cowtard, Forgiven on AD carry for Reckless, and on support, Unlimited. So that is that Copenhagen Wolves team. And if we talk about new beginnings and for all those teams, I think in here a theme is big shoes to fill, because Shook, widely regarded as a very good, an amazing jungler even, and then he has Amazing as his replacement, and Reckless, who has been so hyped throughout the season, who said to be carrying a lot of those games, who's back to Fnatic now, and Forgiven has to step in. D-Man, maybe what do you think of those changes?
Yeah, they are huge changes. There's no doubt about it. I mean, Shook is a champion or player that basically all the European players say is the best jungler in Europe. Even Diamond Proc says this. So I gotta listen to that guy. When these players are saying this, I gotta be thinking, damn, that guy actually is really good. Don't know where he's gone right now. Of course, again, we're also looking at the AD carry. Well, he's like the second coming, the Messiah. I don't know how he's gonna turn out, but this is the tournament he's gonna shine. Interestingly, Doublelift is also here. These guys have got a history. These guys have got a history at IPL 5, where IPL 5, Doublelift called out Reckless, saying, your Vayne is trash, I am so much better. So I'm interested to see whether that gets renewed, whether they do manage to face off against each other anytime soon. But Not too sure how that one's going to go. Fnatic's for a different time, because the Copenhagen Wolves, you know, they're in there. They're another team that's qualified for the promotion series, so they're another team that everybody's going to be focusing on. SK Gaming are in the same situation that NIP is. Everybody eyes on this team. How is the Wolves going to basically come out of this one? Because SK, they've already recorded a 3-2 win over TCM recently, so they know they're okay as a roster, and yourself, you cast some of them games, they were very strong. Copenhagen Wolves, we haven't seen a great deal of success from since this new roster came about.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, we also saw the Copenhagen Wolves 2-0 Meet Your Makers, which, I mean, to be honest, they didn't look that strong in the qualifiers anyways. But I think one thing is really important about the team is the pressure. When Reckless was on the team, you knew everyone would camp him. Every single jungler would go down there and try to stop him. And because of that, the other lanes would flourish. Cowtard, who was in the Copenhagen Wolves back when they qualified in the spring split, only played pretty much Zyra middle. Now we see him playing quite a few different champions.
He didn't win a game.
Well, there you go. But right now, he's going to have this room to grow. He's going to have the opportunity to realize that, yeah, they're not going to be camping Reckless as much, so he can kind of outplay a little bit more if he wants to. It allows the AD carry to really step up and join in the ranks. I'm really curious to see how SK deals with that, though. Like, where are they going to focus their pressure on?
Yeah, absolutely. It's going to be very interesting. And for now, we're going to go over to that game. Well, thank you very much for your insight, guys. We're going to go on to the game, the Copenhagen Wolves versus SK Gaming, with Joe Miller, and the first time commentating, Crepo.
Thank you very much, Shocks. Are you nervous, Crepo?
Really nervous.
Really, really nervous.
My palms are sweaty.
Bear with him, his palms are sweaty and everything else that goes along with that. But Crepo, let's talk a little bit about this game. SK Gaming with a new roster here, first tournament for them. So let's focus on them, really, because that is a very big change. Only the duo lane of Candy Panda and Nif remaining. What do you make to the whole switches that they've gone with?
I mean, they had to make those switches all in all with everything that went down. I think they have to rely on the German efficiency. The duo Q bot lane, bringing them the glory again. And I think Niv and Candy Panda are really strong. We've seen them. I followed them in the amateur tournaments. They've been playing a lot of Jinx Zyra, which is a really interesting lane in my opinion. And they really use the zone potential from all the abilities really well there. So I'm definitely looking forward to them. Freddy122 plays quite a few champions on a really high level. Like Renekton, I'm hoping he gets his Renekton in this game to show the world how good he is on it. And I'm not too sure on Hipster Jesus or on Svenskeren. I haven't seen them play a lot lately, but Svenskeren showed that he used to be at least decent to good jungler for sure. And Hipster Jesus, first tournament, let's see how the pressure gets to him.
Yeah, and that's what really interests me about this one. Candy Panda and Nif, kind of the old boys, have been together as a duo for so long. Freddy122, we saw him in the spring split. Svenskeren in a similar position, but Jesus is the man really to watch. Filling Ocelot's shoes, we heard it earlier on that, you can always look at a transfer from two sides. Ocelot, massively popular, huge following. Dare we say a massive, commercial potential as well behind him. But at the end of the day, SK as a team need results here. They need to win games. And wondering, you see him there on your screen, very, very young player, no offline experience. How is he going to come into this one? Is he going to be as nervous as you doing your cast for the first time, palm sweaty and all that? Or, some players just naturally have it. They can sit down anywhere and bring their A-game.
To be fair, though, this tournament doesn't have too much riding on the results. Like Alex said, the manager of SK, they're here for practice. They rather sometimes want to lose to get more experience than even win. So they will be content with whatever result they get as long as they draw the lessons out of it. Hipster Jesus, generally in solo queue, is a little bit careless. So he might actually do well with the pressure. Who knows?
Well, we're going to find that one out. Let's talk then about their opponents, Copenhagen Wolves. I mean, this is a team that on the amateur side, certainly in the early year, were very, very dominant. They won at Gamescom, finished at second in Tenerife, won at DreamHack as well. They've had their own changes, with Reckless obviously leaving the team to go to Fnatic, picking up Forgiven, the Greek player, at the AD carry role. There's a lot of pressure on these guys as well. We'll leave that for a little bit later on, though, because we are into the bans and the picks here, and they're coming very, very quickly. So let's have a look at them. SK binding out Kassadin and Gragas. Both of them aimed towards Cowtard here from the start. Nidalee and Orianna also aimed at the mid laner.
Yeah, I definitely like the Nidalee ban. Both as a player perspective, as just an observer. She makes for very strong games. We saw it earlier, the siege potential that comes out, the synergy she has with so many compositions. Definitely a key target, good ban. Orianna's a very safe mid laner. Gragas, you actually see a lot in the matchups against Orianna, so both those champions are out, so we'll actually see perhaps a new interesting mid lane matchup, who knows. Yeah, it will definitely be interesting to see what they pick up. Actually, Elise goes out now, so that's a ban target at the jungle. They don't want the snowball coming from the jungle, or possibly in the top lane.
Yeah, as well. I mean, both Svenska and Amazing have played their fair share of Elise coming forward, or in the past, I should really say. Thresh banned out finally here then for the Copenhagen Wolves. And that leaves us with the picks then. What are SK going to go for you first? I mean,
Should be Shyvana.
where would you be going?
Shyvana's open. You should have taken. If you saw what NIP did with it, it just gets
Renekton as well.
Yeah, but I don't know. Yeah, looks like you called it.
I think we should switch roles.
We should wait until they lock it in. Maybe they get their glorious insight. No, they don't. Exactly. They're going for Renekton, Freddy's signature champion here, and then Copenhagen Wolves does listen to my advice. They go for the Lucian pickup, which is very popular in Asia right now.
Yeah.
And combined with Shyvana, I think these are solid picks by both teams so far.
Well, comfort champion certainly from SK's side of things so far. This Sona with the Thresh taken out is certainly up there. You know, Nif is playing pretty much Sona Thresh at this point of thing, with the Zyra mixed in there as well. Lee Sin, jungler that Svensson also is very, very comfortable.
Yeah, we're definitely seeing comfort picks coming out here. For a first game in a while in a professional setting, that's definitely what you want to go for. With the rise of any support though, we might see a possible counter pick, or even Leona could come out to punish the Sona, because they probably could have predicted that.
Well, it will be locked in there with that Lee Sin. Vladimir, Annie currently being selected, and we didn't really touch on the fact that Youngbuck is also a very well-known Renekton player. That's one of his, if not the go-to champion for him. Going to be a Vladimir picked up here though for the Wolves, along with that Annie support that's only becoming more popular.
Yeah, that's a very interesting pickup, honestly. I'm not too entirely sure how the matchup goes, but it seems like I would give that to Renekton early, and Vladimir doesn't have much lane swap potential. So they're definitely aiming for the 1v1 Vladimir Renekton, because Lucian and Annie definitely beat whatever Sona and extra comes. So perhaps a weaker early game there might be the focus of the ganks. Renekton Lee Sin on a Vladimir might be able to take him down. We'll see.
So for SK then, Vayne is what they're hovering over right now, and Vayne was, of course, a strong pick in the LCS this summer as well for Candy Panda. 6 games played, 5 games won with the Vayne. Found a lot of bans with a Riven coming out here for this mid lane for Jesus. And Riven, again, has become like a flavor of the month kind of pick.
Almost, yeah. But yeah, the Vayne definitely fits, because Sona pretty much puts a band-aid on all the problems that Vayne has in her laning phase. The extra sustain, the poke, the push coming out from Sona allows Vayne to thrive a little more in laning phase, although they can't really match up against Lucian and what seems to be Zyra, so we'll see whether Annie support, Zyra mid, Annie mid, Zyra support, we don't know yet. We'll see. Might be just the Zyra for the disengage, because SK is pretty all in. Let's see if Renekton's gonna dive into the fray. Riven's gonna follow up. Lucian will be chasing. Zyra ulti will be key, combined with the culling from walking backwards as Lucian does, and then Annie Tibbers engage or disengage. So definitely Copenhagen Wolves have the tools to deal with SK, but SK definitely has the damage to just rip him apart.
Yeah, and we saw, as Jason mentioned in the pre-game chat as well there, Coutard played a lot of Zyra in the spring split, and even since then as well, while we've watched him here in this mid lane. But again, we're going to be seeing Lucian come into this one. Let's talk about that bottom lane, obviously, where your biggest expertise come into it. I mean, Vayne Sona against the Lucian Annie, you've always got to be careful with that Annie in there, but you've got the sustain on the other side. Who comes out on top of that? Obviously, I don't think they end up going in a 2v2.
I think Copenhagen Wolves will predict that SK is going to want to swap this. Vayne and Sona do well in a 2v1. Vayne can get a lot of poke off on the enemy top laner, because she doesn't have really anything threatening her zone. So she can definitely poke down Vladimir. Vladimir not too good in 2v1 early, because he doesn't have the wave clear he gets at his later levels. He's quite squishy. Yes, he has pull, but is that going to be enough? While Renekton, very tanky, can dash through waves, blow them up. So definitely, I think Copenhagen Wolves is going to expect the lane swap coming out from SK. And let's see if they can use their level 1 advantage, because I believe they're a little stronger level 1. So they can scout out and see if they can find out where SK wants to go and punish that immediately.
We'll see if they try and get that ward in that allows them to see the lanes early on in this one. But we are going to be getting in game for our first match of this best of 3 between SK Gaming and the Copenhagen Wolves. The winner, of course, will go through to tomorrow's grand final in the amateur tournament, where they will, of course, play Ninjas in Pajamas for a $17,000 first place prize here. So let's focus on level 1. We said that Copenhagen Wolves going to have the stronger part of this one.
Maybe. Actually, I'm going to slightly reconsider because of Vladimir. Because basically, Annie generally indicates strong level 1. AoE stun. Lucian, strong level 1. The AoE from his Q. Then Zyra can snare. But if SK can catch you unaware and immediately drop that like one target damage down, they can catch you as well. Both teams like going to across different side of the map. It all depends, like once they spot that each other, that they're not in the same area of the map, everything will go suddenly really smooth and they'll start fanning out. But right now, yeah, Copenhagen Wolves just camping the brush, they're deciding what they're doing. SK is pinging the advance, carefully brush to brush, warding the red jungle to hopefully get information. And there's the lane swap ward, right there. Nif is placing that down, hopefully to get a glimpse of who goes in that lane, so they can counter swap if needed.
So let's see what else SK go for. Another ward put down there by the Wraith camp. Copenhagen Wolves are going to be warding over by the SK Red, but no ward down in that bottom lane to see which champions are going in towards which lanes. And obviously there was no vision whatsoever there from the Copenhagen Wolves towards this SK team. Luckily for them, they've all recalled here, so we'll see what the reaction is going to be to that whole setup.
Look at SK all moving mid. They're ready to go left and right. They're waiting for Lucian to show. This normally would be a coin flip and like a mind game to whatever level you want to go. They swap, they know we swap, we know that they know, blah, 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 blah. But right now they're waiting for Lucian to show, and I think you're going to see a ping down on the map pretty soon that Lucian shows top and Annie. And SK actually choosing to go for the 2v2 on top lane. That's pretty interesting.
Yeah, headed up there, going to give Lee Sin a bit of a helping hand with that blue buff here, which obviously will get Svenskeren on his way. This mid lane, an interesting one, Zyro, which we don't see all that often selected in this mid lane, up against Jesus' Riven, his first game really on the big stage here. What do you think to this lane matchup?
She has the poke advantage. She can lock him down with snare, but if she misses a snare, boy, he's just gonna jump on her. Then again, she has the ulti level 6 to pretty much negate like the jumping around of Riven. He will 100% get hit by the ultimate, and that might be the saving grace.
So look at this, we see Amazing headed over here. Shyvana, Smite already used, Svenskeren saved his and will be able to successfully invade on that red buff right there. Amazing doing the Wraith camp here in the meantime. Didn't spot actually that Lee Sin was up there. Svenskeren is waiting here. Both players level 3. That red buff is going to give Svenskeren that advantage when he's missed the Q. Goes over to the ward though. Will they be able to keep a hold on to Amazing? Will he force the flash out of him here? There is the flash over and a flash burnt to stop that Shyvana getting in, plus the red buff steal.
And the pressure on the map. Good read by SK. They know they're the weaker lane in the 2v2, but they sacrifice that position so they can help Lee Sin get a smiteless on blue, transition into the red because they know he's not starting there. So they know he can either get him there on the red, worst case get it and gank top afterwards. If not, Shyvana would end up invading Lee Sin's red, but they had no idea whether he had enough control there. So definitely the good call by SK, and this proves why they actually chose for these matchups. And then at the same time, it allows Renekton to bully Vladimir. Good play, strong play.
And speaking of Vladimir, Youngblood going with both utility spells at this point, and Flash and that Ghost in, so he's looking to stay very, very safe in this lane, that's for sure. Freddy, a very competent Renekton player. We see Svenskeren here doing his red buff right now, so that's going to reset that one, and he'll be very happy with how this game for him has started off. As we see in this top, there's been a damage being exchanged. Unlimited just catching a turret hit there. I don't think he quite factored that one into how things were going to go forward. There's a stun on towards Nif, and they really are putting down a lot of damage at this point.
Yeah, but no follow-up. Annie burns her stun procs, which is basically an invitation for Vayne to go forward. Sona half HP. SK playing this well. They're surviving it. They farmed equally well. Look at Candy's span as CS, only 4 down, but he has at least 5 creeps there to just take freely. SK ties that up. On the bottom, Renekton has the lane control. Tight CS, but he has the lane control, so he has it pushed. So they can base whenever they want. Shyvana's early pressure is broken. Lee Sin is snowballing. And Shyvana's early ganks aren't honestly not that good. So she wants to get a quick 6 and gank, but Svenskeren managed to break that pressure. So we can see if he can snowball that either in a really good gank later or just an early dragon attempt.
Well, we'll see about that one. Shyvana is on the bottom side right now. Svenskeren continuing to pick up the farm here as he takes his wolf camp. And Freddy continues to push straight up that bottom lane. He's now at level 5 and approaching level 6, with Youngbuck still on level 4. There's Jez taking a lot of damage in this mid lane, those plants. And that's the thing for Jez, to get in there for the farm. Well, he's got to get in there. That's the point of this one.
Once he gets into range, he can kill Zyra, but Coutard playing this makes it really, really well. Look at the poke coming down, almost killing. There he is! No respect for the plans. Jez just drops completely. Coutard taking questionable first blood? I don't know.
Yeah, it all looked a little bit sloppy. I don't think Jesus thought he was going to go down in that one. Ignite not even used by Coutard. Jesus not flashing away from things either. And we talked about it earlier, the pressure maybe as Nifia getting caught out and stunned up. Forgiven forces the flash out of him. A nice knockback there by Candy Panda will stop any kind of follow-up. Well, that's going to force Nifia into healing up a lot, if not even going home for the fear of being caught out.
And this is what I was talking about. In a 2v2 situation, and he opens up with stun, rarely ever loses that trade. Lucian fall damage is way bigger than Vayne can push out immediately, at least. Post 6 perhaps, but even then Annie Tippers is gonna reign supreme. So definitely this is where SK pays the price for laning 2v2.
You have to wonder, what's going to cost them more in the end. Nif again taking a big hit. Candy Panda also got hit by Forgiven. Was knocked back in the end. Now we see Svenskeren finally getting involved in the action. Still Ghost and Flash available here for Young Bucks. We are going to see them coming through. There's the pull. We will see a stun. No, we won't. A flash out from Young Buck. Perfect timing.
You have to flash mid-Q animation and hope the Lee Sin doesn't predict your flash. Really well played by Youngblood, because as we see, Copenhagen Wolves has complete vision control on the top side river of the map rather, so they know exactly where the ganks are not coming from. They know where possibly the ganks could come from in bottom. So, but Double Summer's Vladimir is really hard to gank post level 5. So definitely well played by Copenhagen Wolves. Good control.
Seeing a blast there coming out on towards Sniff, and they might have to back away from this one if they're not careful. Candy Panda trying to be the aggressive one here, but he's going to pay the price possibly. Forgiven knocking him right down. Level up from Candy Panda and a heal from Nif will keep him alive, and they're going to be forced to back away, just as I thought they may have done before that one. But Candy Panda was trying to protect as much damage coming onto that turret as he possibly could, and they now have to leave that lane, and he's already 15 CS behind.
Yeah, he's gonna drop another wave there, and if he doesn't drop that wave, he's gonna force Svenskeren to farm it, which allows the other lanes to relieve of pressure, and this is really good. This is basically spillover. It's what happened. One lane gets really strong, relieves the pressure of all the other lanes, and Copenhagen Wolves hopefully use that to their advantage.
Let's see what Svenskeren does. He just picked himself up that blue buff. Obviously, he's got the luxury of having that one. Obviously, Riven not really needing that one.
Arguably, still with the CDR coming from the blue buff, Riven could need it to cut down like just the cooldowns to actually get to the Zyra.
You see an interesting tweet there coming out from Ocelot, of course, former mid laner for SK Gaming. Says I'm watching SK versus Copenhagen Wolves as Youngbuck here down the bottom takes a lot of damage. Amazing's gonna try and follow up here, but honestly, Ultimate running out of Freddy. He dives back in there, will go straight back out as well as Youngbuck used the pull, and very, very interesting encounters down on the bottom. Meanwhile, no Shyvana up in the top side. Svenskeren gets himself another red buff.
He knows when he cleared that camp, he should have been there for his red buff. There's no counter dragon attempt. Vladimir got too low, baiting that fight. Slice and dice allows Renekton to get in and out. I mean, he still has his flash. Questionable gank attempt there. Perhaps it was needed to push in the wave. Vladimir could possibly not get the wave in alone, so he just wanted the safety to base whenever he wants. That might argue for that play, but all in all, they lost another red buff there. And now bot lane, Annie and Lucian just based, and they're about to hit level 6, and I think that's when the action starts.
Jesus here taking more damage in that mid lane. Coutard really bullying him at this point, up to a 25 CS lead, plus that first blood coming in there, gives him the Seeker's Arm Guard and that Crystalline Flask with a Doran's Ring to boot as well. So Coutard certainly showing his experience with that Zyra here in this middle lane. We'll see how that one all develops. This top lane, 49 to 62, so that lead for Forgiven not really shrinking too much.
Yeah, now it's basically a skill matchup. If Annie gets crescendo, then bursted really quick, she dies. If Annie lands a double crescendo, if Nif and Candy Panda overlap at one point, Tibbers comes out.
And there we go, seeing them putting the damage down on towards Nif. Is he going to go for the crescendo? Just edged in there towards Unlimited as though he wanted to have a go at that one. Unlimited not quite hitting level 6 just yet, but that will be coming up here soon. And Amazing is headed towards this top lane, but will they catch them out? The ward is there, but he's actually stood around the corner, so they've not seen him, and that might mean that he's too late with the speed, or not.
Or they're almost gonna bait it because Svenskeren come up. Good realization by both junglers that this is the fight they want to fight. This is where everything's gonna happen. Double AoEs, crowd control effects on each side, and yeah, it's going to be really interesting.
Yeah, and that deep ward that was put in position from the Wolves as well by the SK Tribush, actually spotting Lee Sin coming up there early as well, so they got that early warning system in place. Svenskeren going to be wasting time here now.
Even if they didn't see Svenskeren move up, the indication that suddenly Nif is randomly, pseudo-randomly, playing a lot more aggressive and drop the pink ward is going to indicate that Svenskeren there, therefore he reveals.
No. Tower though, maybe more of a victim than anything else here, as they are going to be hammering away on this one. Unlimited has it level 6, not got that stun up and ready here, and there's not a lot they can do. These minions are going to be going down, but not in time. for that turret to be saved. And that will be the first one of the game here going over to SK. Gives them a 3 or 200 gold lead at this point.
Yeah, and Vayne is continuously scaling better in the game. As we see, mid lane, countered, no jungle pressure from either side. He's winning the matchup and he's winning it harder.
Mid lane, look at that, all being hammered away. And look at the wards coming out here from SK Gaming. One apiece at this point. They know that they need to win this Vision War.
That's a really good point, because it's really important for teams to snowball an advantage. Once you get one tower, you want to ward between those lanes, and that's really what they need to do. And it's beautiful to see that not the support is not buying all the wards.
I was going to say,
effort.
It's a team effort now. That's always a good sign. And I'm sure, you know, the new patch is making you feel even more happy as a support player. So everything's going so well for you guys these days. Always nice.
And I get
to
to cast with Joe Miller.
And that is basically your life is perfect right now, Crap.
Might as well
What can I
retire.
say? But we are. Oh, well, I thought we were going to see a dragon attempt there as Svenskeren headed down towards that bottom side with Copenhagen Wolves having that duo still in the top lane. That was revealed. Thought they might go for it, but at the same time, their duo lane was quite far behind either way, and that will stay alive for a while now. So we're going to have 2v1s back into action as we thought may have happened from the get-go.
I think your point stands correct. Either they're going to freeze Vladimir and zone him out of XP if they can, otherwise they're going to shove him up and get the Drake. They have a little bit of time window because this tower is falling really quickly top. Hopefully Freddy can hold them. If Freddy can hold them at bay for like a good 30 seconds more, possibly this might mean Drake, because Svenskeren is moving down stealth in the bottom because he's probably expecting Shyvana to do the same, and they will maybe outnumber him.
And he's not wrong either. Amazing coming down there. They did have that ward in. As the mid turret does go down. And Minions finishing that one off as Youngblood here going to take a lot of damage. Oh, Crescendo was too early. But Amazing jumped in there either way. I don't think he quite had the faith there in Youngblood able to escape that one. And, you know, a flash burn. In fact, 2 flashes burnt for the Copenhagen Wolves. 1 over for SK Gaming. 2 Svenskeren flash as well, along with that Crescendo.
Yeah, that's the fear of every support player doing a flash crescendo. You got to hit it right on top of his head, or not too early, not too late, or he's just gonna fail. And although he whiffed it, the combined effort and the combined pressure they have with 4 people in this area, and Freddy keeping them at bay at top, allows SK to move in, possibly steal the move up. Doesn't get it. Nope. Kautar gets it. Wow. Well played.
Yeah, and that's like something that probably should never really be happening. Kautar coming in there, manages to secure that one. Meanwhile, Freddy going aggressive onto Forgiven, who was pretty much out of mana. Youngblood coming out. He's going to get stunned up against the wall. Still has his ghost available. He's waiting for that one and does get away from 4 SK players.
And look what Copenhagen Wolves do with 3 members. They steal the blue buff. Youngblood comes in, drags them away. Then Kautar is in place, combined with Amazing to stop the possible dragon attempt. Gives enough time for Annie and Lucian to push that top turret, and they save the Drake. And now Copenhagen Wolves is in a really good spot, because they could have lost that Drake due to the numbers disadvantage they had, but they played around it really damn well.
Yeah, Dragon still stands. Available for Copenhagen Wolves here, maybe. They see Freddy on this top side, of course not running a teleport at this point, and well, they're all headed back to Wolves at this stage. Svenskeren just going to be getting this blue buff. And you do see that already Kautar has that Zhonya's Hourglass finished up, which pretty much says that Riven's not going to kill him.
Yeah, it's very vital. Look at the 80 sentry composition SK has, and it cancels everything. He can just go in, bait them all in, into his ulti once they try and kill him, or even dodge possible skill shots by popping Zhonya's. And it really allows him to bait or control the team fights on his own.
30 CS ahead of his lane opponent, Jesus. As we said, making his big debut here today, and well, that 1 kill on the scoreboard was against him. A little bit of a weird kill as well in the mid lane, and that's something probably have to hear from him personally as to how that actually went down. As wards go in towards Dragon, because the duo lanes now both facing off on the bottom side. We've got Shyvana on the bottom side of the map as well. Something tells me that Dragon's probably not going to be too far away. I mean, we're 15 minutes into this game right now.
Yeah, but everybody's still around. Let's see if they can stop the Dragon attempt. They have full vision, so they know Shyvana starting it. Shyvana Zyra extremely quick though. Shyvana really good on Drake, combined with the plants from Zyra and just a numbers advantage, but they might catch them.
Oh, grasping roots going out towards Jesus. Here comes Svenskeren from the backside. Manages to pick that one up, and there's a Crescendo coming in as well. So a Stranglethorn's going to knock Nif in the air. Jesus is right in the middle of them, but he will be picked off there by Kautar, and that is a 2 for 0 here. SK do manage to pick up the Dragon, but they've lost 2 men.
Ironically though, the plant spawned behind the Drake allowed Svenskeren to come in with his Q, dash through and smite steal the Drake. Normally you pull out a Drake so Svenskeren can't do that, but there was a plant giving him access anyways. Good reaction by Copenhagen Wolves though. play the fight really well. Immediate focus on Riven when she comes in. That's exactly how you have to play the fight.
And kept her out of it for a long time as well. To start off with their Coutard. And that is going to be a turret coming down from this one, the third of the game. So the entire outer ring has been removed here from the Copenhagen Wolves. We can see a lot of them going back. Time to start getting that ward control underway.
And about 16 to 20 minutes into the game, this is where you're going to look at power spikes. You want to see Lucian? Exactly. He picks up Triforce. This is a spike. His next spike is probably going to be Lost Whisper, especially against the full 80 sentry composition, or like full bruiser comp rather. Then the next spike for Vayne is going to be, for example, the Blade of the Ruined King, but Lucian finishes earlier. This might be an even more advantage because they get more valuable items for their gold, and Copenhagen Wolves might push through here.
Especially considering the fact that Zhonya's has done as well for Coutard to bait them all into that one and get things going. Youngbuck on the other side, on the top side, has the needlessly large rod plus the revolver in there. Freddy got himself that Spirit Visage already done as well. The CS between them is slightly in the advantage here for Freddy at 13 at this point.
If we take a look at the gold count, for example, Vladimir is sitting on 1.2k gold. That means he's going to base later, and even Zyra has 2k gold. Once these guys are basing, they're going to get a lot more. Zyra caught him middle.
Yeah, there's the kick out actually, but Stranglethorn's going to go down. The question is whether Coutard can get to the safety of his turret here, and we are going to see the Zhonya's coming in. Jesus baited into that one. The shield going to protect him, but look at the damage coming out from the minions and the plants. Jesus walks away from that, but almost paid for it with his life. Here comes Freddy. Coutard surely not going to get away from that one. That'll be the finisher. And Coutard, I think, feeling very proud of himself getting out of that one, allowed him to, or made him stick around in that lane, lose out in the end, but they've gotten in a turret in bottom.
Exactly. Even though he made that mistake afterwards, a little too cocky in my opinion, but very great play. Great usage of Zona. They lose the bottom turret.
Turret down. Copenhagen Wolves can now get complete vision control of their enemy's bottom side of the jungle.
And if we're talking late game, Vladimir is such a split push menace that it's really hard to deal with. Yes, he has a weak early, but he survived that early. He's going to buy his Rabadons later, and he's just going to push those wave in after wave and sustain whatever harass Freddy does on him. One wave later, it's gone, so they need to catch him. But Copenhagen Wolves, good vision control.
Unlimited there, just waiting off to the side. Pretty much what you have to do with Annie. Get ready in position. Hope the rest of your team are going to be there so you can flash in with Tibbers. Stun as many people as possible and follow through. Didn't happen this time around.
You can't do it alone. I've tried it in solo queue.
Well, I mean,
5 people with no follow-up.
We saw it from Mithy in that last game, let's not forget. 4-man. Tibbers comes down, Mithy's looking all proud, rest of his team are nowhere to be
in
seen.
sight, exactly.
Not something that you hope to see when you do that 4-man Tibbers. Luckily he had the stream to see that he actually did it in the first place, which is always a bonus for him. Coutard getting his blue buff there as well. He's added another needlessly large rod into his armor, as we see the Hydra is finished here as well for Jesus.
Yeah, Hydra coming out of Riven allows it to really combo and reset those auto attacks, going for the full 100% 2-0 combo, following up with the ulti if it doesn't get dodged by a magnificent hourglass, such as Coutard did.
Let's see then where the next moves are going to be made here. Candy Panda and Nif pushing out this bottom lane as much as they possibly can. We'll try and maybe have a bit of poke on towards that tower. They've got wards coming in, but fairly deep in the river. You can see that Nif actually pushing up, probably wanting to get more vision further up there and see what's going to happen. But with the fact that Annie's running around with those, just the spinning stun animation is just scary enough.
Yeah, once you see something twirling around Annie, you know you're not going to make it. They're going for a 3v3, but I don't think anybody's going to fight. I mean, meanwhile on top, Vladimir and Renekton going at it, but nobody's really going to get into kill range. I think they're waiting for the next dragon to spawn in about a minute roughly, I believe. And that's maybe where the next action is going to be. It's a little too early for Baron. Say, give it 3 or 4 more minutes, and then Annie can go vision control around Baron.
Copenhagen Wolves here putting down good amount of damage on towards Candy Panda. I say Copenhagen Wolves, it was more forgiven that had done that the whole way through. Unlimited trying to get in range here as well. Safeguard from Svenskram will get him right back off towards Candy Panda. There's no turret behind here, SK. Behind SK here, let's not forget, but no real follow down from Coutard, maybe from that mid lane.
Oh, Tibbers whiffs.
Yeah, Tibbers coming in and not really landing where they would have wanted from that one. SK might try and follow this one up now, knowing the lack of crowd controls there, but they go towards him. He goes low, but Candy Panda will pick up Unlimited. Amazing brings it back for a 1-for-1 at this point, and now Forgiven is chasing, plus Coutard is coming down. Amazing's trying to delay him here as much as he can for Coutard to get around the side. Amazing gonna get knocked back, but Coutard can't get into range from this one. He can't quite get there to make things happen. and in the end, Svenska and Candy Panda both walk off.
This is why I was valuing the Shyvana pick so high. Look, yes, Vayne can condemn you even mid-ulti or after ulti, but the burnout speed is so damn quick, you just walk back and you just start killing her again, and nobody can deal with the tanky monster that is Shyvana. Throw a Vladimir on top of that, and I just want to point out that I actually was wrong about the Rabadons. Vladimir went for an Hourglass Water, the same way it's going to be used as Kabar did.
Jez is actually going aggressive here on towards Youngbuck, forcing him to pull up and to ghost as well. And there we see Jez is going to flash in for the kill, but Youngbuck not needing it here, not going to need to use that out.
He should have Zhonya's.
Wow.
Why didn't he Zhonya's? Ignite tick would have probably been ignored, I believe.
Yeah. Well,
Mistakes happen.
He obviously felt comfortable of the fact that he was going to escape that one. Didn't quite happen. Nif caught out from this one. That's an easy kill back for the Copenhagen Wolves. So support down. That means there's no crescendo, even if it's on cooldown at this point either way, but that leaves a 4v4 with the Dragon up from this one. And we'll see if either team's nervy enough to really go for this one at this point. It's kind of out of position at this stage as both teams in each other's area. Stranglethorn still go down. Candy Panda going super low. Ignite is ticking on him, but he will be finished off there. It's Kautard that gets that one, and now Amazing is chasing down, trying to get onto Freddy and onto Svenska, and Jesus is in the mid lane with that double buff from earlier on him. But Copenhagen Wolves now, they got it back into a 5v4. Do they have to choose in between Tower and Dragon? Not really, because we see Youngbuck coming back.
Might be a steal there though. Svenska waiting in the back, ready to steal it again. But Kautard can just control the entire area here, and even if Svenska comes, they should punish him. They should be really ready for this.
Well, there is the ward going to be taken out. Svenska does have a sight still, no? He throws that Q over on towards Amazing. The obvious target here to be jumping onto. There we go, but Amazing this time gets the better of him. Well, smite out perfectly.
Well played. Wait out the Lee Sin Q, immediately burst him. Don't wait for him to throw down any more wards or anything like that. Good dragon control there from the Dragon Shyvana. No pun intended there. But then actually, I really like what they did, Copenhagen Wolves, in that fight. You saw earlier, it was it showed how far behind Jesus is, because in that fight, we didn't really see that on camera. But in the back, Forgiven, out of mana, was zoning Jesus out of the fight. And normally, Riven just eats up 80 carries alive. That's her job. She jumps in, immediately kills them. The kite coming in from Forgiven, one dash was enough to zone him completely out of the fight, and that's where a lot of people make the mistake as well. This is not support Zyra, this is AP mid Zyra, and she hurts.
She hurts a lot, that's for sure. And that's how she was made in the start, you know. Maybe her intended role being played out here. Let's have a look at the overall picture. I mean, 6-3 in kills, 4-1 in turrets for the Copenhagen Wolves after they got their fourth with that inner bottom lane turret. And in 34, let's call it, it's a 4,000 gold lead, give or take here at this point. I mean, this is a comfortable position for the Wolves to be in, especially for the fact that, you know, Youngbuck is going to be coming strong and going to be able to push those lanes out and be a general menace to everyone.
I think Wolves will be happy with equal gold as well, because their comp really scales and have a little bit of everything. They have good disengage from Zyra, good engage from Annie, kite from Lucian, engage and really a strong scaling jungler, which is really vital. And then they have Vladimir, really good scaling AP for those AoE fights.
Well, Svenska going to try his hand at having a bit of a steal once again. Amazing actually having to smite away that one just to make sure that it's safe. Meanwhile, bottom lane has seen another turret go down. The second of the game here from SK Gaming. We can see the Culling coming out, trying to just get rid of the minions there and force them to tank up a couple of turret hits, but I'll just take a little bit too late on that front. It's amazing actually getting involved from this one. We did see that Sniff off towards the side as well, and both teams kind of squaring up here across a line on the river.
See, I don't like what they're doing. I wish Copenhagen Wolves would translate this advantage into pure Nashor control. If they buy a lot of pink wards and an Oracle as they have, I feel the members should help buy a pink ward each, go into Nashor, completely rewarded. Look at how hard it is for SK to face check an area into a Zyra, Annie, Lucian, Vladimir. Like, it's virtually impossible for all these melee characters.
Well, let's see if that's what they do. They are headed on towards this top side as a blue buff going to come down. Crescendo will land. This could be dangerous, and in fact, one man will die instantly. Youngbuck going to go low. Stranglethorns will knock up Freddy. And Amazing going in towards the back, but they've left Lucian a little bit untouched. Finally, they're going to turn that one around and go focus in onto him. He's going to fall from that one, and in the end, it is going to be a 4-4-2. I mean, SK going low from that one, but a 4-for-2. Very, very happy with that.
And if there's one way to lose the game for Copenhagen Wolves, it's that fighting in a narrow jungle passage without any vision being jumped upon. If they jump on the enemy, it's fine. Zyra works well in those passages, but she wasn't close enough to disengage with her ulti. Shyvana jumps on Vayne, but Vayne already took care of all the other opponents and just kited Shyvana along the way. Really good play by SK there. They were looking for a catch. They needed the catch and they got the catch. Opening crescendo, good follow-up, and needed a wombo combo coming out from Riven. That's exactly what they're looking for. I hope Copenhagen Wolves learns their lesson, wards up properly. They can still control Nashor because they can still force SK to face check, but they have to do it properly.
Brings our goal back to barely 1,000 at this point.
At this point, it's more about momentum actually than it is about gold. It's about the if only there was something like a pressure meter in the top of the corner that says like how much pressure are we exerting on the enemy team, because you can talk about gold all day and it's trivial sometimes because people are sitting a lot more gold, their items are not as valuable, they don't scale as well, but it's all about map control, vision control, and pressure, and this just catch by SK alleviated so much pressure from Copenhagen Wolves.
Unlimited is working through those walls right now, and Nif doing exactly the same pretty much on the top side. And exactly the same, aside from the fact that he doesn't have the Oracle, so he's not really taking wards away that the Wolves have already had in there. Neither is Unlimited because he's just walking over him.
Yeah, he doesn't care too much about wards, but at the same time, Nif doesn't really want to rob the vision. Sure, it'd be cool, he just wants vision. And look at his build, he's a Ruby Sidestone compared to normal Sidestone, but they're going to a siege right now.
Yeah, going to be pushing in towards this turret here. A lot of damage onto it already. Half HP of that turret has just disappeared. And actually the Wolves dealing with that one quickly. But look at this. Freddy is coming from the backside. He seems to be thinking twice, waiting for the rest of his team to come in there. And we have a bit of a pause. Not sure exactly what the problem is there with that one. I'm just going to see if I can have a look at the chat. Apparently SK have a mouse problem, so that's something that you definitely want in order if you're chasing a team down the middle lane.
Generally, to play League of Legends, use of a mouse is advised.
Yeah, it definitely helps things out, but that gives the teams a little bit of a breather in this one. I can see that it seems to be Svenskeren, who definitely with a Lee Sin, who has to hit his skill shots. A mouse is more than valuable to the outcome of what he's going to be able to produce. But that gives a little bit of time, as I said, to take a look down, some of the items here. We see Last Whisper, as you were talking about earlier, is done here for Lucian, added into that Trinity Force from earlier.
And they use that power spike to push down the turret, and it's really, really nice to see that they use their ranged advantage, because Renekton's melee, Lee Sin's melee, Riven's melee. Vayne is quasi-melee, we can say, almost melee, because he's so short-ranged, that once actually five members of Copenhagen Wolves group up, and not everybody is there because Freddy was at the side, they can take down a tower so damn quick because of the zone Zyra and Annie provide.
So it seems like we are ready to get back underway with this one. Svenskeren's issue has been fixed, and we are going to go back to that mid lane chase here in just a second. And there we go. So Freddy here on that top side. We saw him coming in from the back. Kind of let Copenhagen Wolves through from that one. He didn't want to be the sole man up at the top, I think, despite how tanky he now is. Got himself another giant spell added in to that Sunfire kit. But he's really out of position here, so SK are maybe either going to have to pull him around the long way or go for some kind of fight, right?
Problem is they can't go for a frontal engage into a Zyra because that's suicide. That's why Freddy is flanking. He's hoping to stun somebody in the back, give them enough time for Nif to follow up with Flash Crescendo, which then in turn gives enough time for the melees to get into the fray. It's very hard to do, and that's why SK's lineup is so complex to play rather than Copenhagen Wolves is a little more straightforward and often gives more rewards.
Alright, now they hold that reward ahead in this game. But again, if you look at what you were saying earlier about the control of the Baron, which is 28 minutes in generally what we're seeing, like this is Baron dance o'clock, so to speak, and they've got those oracles in there looking for that position control. Svenskeren is sweeping out that bottom side of the jungle, but Copenhagen Wolves here headed down mid again.
Yeah, I wish they just deward the Nashor area. It puts so much pressure on the enemy team if you know Nashor is dark. They could be literally in every damn brush. They could be hiding. You have to proceed with caution. No, they're going for Drake again, it seems, but I don't really think that's the right choice, because as long as SK has a ward roughly in the Baron area, they don't care. Like, push us in, we'll take the farm, we'll push you back.
Let's see. Dragon started off, will be finished, no pressure, but again, a positional play from SK going up middle.
Great. Although it's pretty risky, because if they get cornered in, it's the same if you engage from the back or from the front. It doesn't matter. If you all engage from the same angle into a Zyra and you have no flanks, it's gonna be hard. But they're moving down back in the jungle. They're sending Vayne top already.
Vayne headed away from that one. Annie actually trying to push up as far as possible here. They have got vision of things going on, and Wolves are going to go straight back here and push right back down the mid lane themselves.
Yeah, giving SK like their own trick back in their face, and actually they're way better at zoning the enemies out. SK got pushed out, but Copenhagen Wolves does not have that problem, and now it's going to be interesting to see how they deal with this.
Well, that area right there that Candy Panda and Jesus coming down is prime Zyra area as Candy Panda bursts down into that one. SK now with 4 men caught out of position completely. How do they deal with this one?
6 men, even Tibbers is joining the
party.
That's
true.
There.
There's a bear in there as well for it. We do see Unlimited taking a lot of damage. There's a Stranglethorns going down the crescendo, not really hitting the men they would have wanted to hit. Jesus has to go back. Zhonya's was used early by Kautard. They're chasing in on towards Jesus, whose shield is going to wear off. Amazing finish as that. 4 men are down here for SK. It leaves just Svenskeren, who's in the mid lane, in the middle of nowhere. They can push this one straight through.
It's like we were saying, it just doesn't work going straight into a Zyra, especially 4v5 without your AD carry. Doesn't
and especially
work.
there.
Especially there, exactly. Vayne got caught and they still tried to get, they desperately tried to get back into their base because they felt like losing an inhibitor would lose them the game. Not sure if that was the right call. Lucian very well played there. He backed off, and this is actually how you use the culling. Because you outrange the zone of the enemies. You don't get in range of Crescendo, you just slam it in their face, because if they're all running at you, it's pretty easy to hit.
Oh wow, early smite there from Svenskeren, and he played so patiently to wait for that blue buff there.
Just didn't get it.
Smite a little bit off. I think that the reset tick as well threw him off slightly, which is why that kind of happened, but Forgiven got it anyway.
Forgiven knew he was in the brush, because if you leash the blue buff and suddenly changes direction walking toward the brush, generally indicates that somebody's waiting there.
Someone hanging around. Yep. Well, helped him out with that smite, and then the regen allowed Forgiven to get that one away either way, and they're going to get their own blue buff here for Kautard, who now has that Void Staff added into his Rabadons and the Zhonya's Hourglass.
He even gets the plant service. He doesn't have to do blue buff himself. Spawns 2 plants and they take it down. That's how much damage this guy is doing.
All fun, which means, you know, we should probably talk about that, because that leads into, you know, the whole Baron and how quickly the Copenhagen Wolves can do it at this point.
That's basically the threat. Even if they do it slow, it doesn't even matter, which they don't. They do it ridiculously quick with Shyvana, with a late game Vladimir Lucian. Like, they have enough tools to take down Baron easily, but they need to rob the vision. People should be buying pink wards here. I think pink wards and oracles provide more value per gold point spent than any item currently possibly being bought, because they already win the fight so easily if they pick the right fight.
And there is the pink ward put down on Baron, allows them to move out the one single ward up till now. There are still a couple around there. As we see Vayne here, showing on the bottom lane. Is that a go signal for the Wolves here on that top side?
Well, they need to clean that wave at one point. Vayne's trying to put some split push pressure, but this actually gives Copenhagen Wolves the invitation to do what I've been talking about all game, which is bait the Nasher. Hopefully Amazing just moves away there, because if the jungler's not there, they're probably not doing it. They want to bait them into a narrow passage and punish them from warding over a wall.
Well, that's maybe what's going to happen here as we see them pushing in towards it. Actually, the Cullen used there, and that gets Svenskeren decently low. Yeah, pokes him right back from that one. We can see that Youngbuck in the background already starting off Baron. Vayne has started to come up from this bottom lane. We could see this fight break out here as Kautard going to get the grasping roots on towards Freddy. They stop the Baron, they focus down Freddy. He's a big tanky man in the team. They can't afford to lose him as a crescendo comes across. Jesus takes a lot of damage. Stranglethorn's not going to knock him up, but they're controlling this fight perfectly. There's another kill coming out. Freddy, he's taking a lot of damage. Will probably get away, or will he? There is a push in from Forgiven. Nif now chased off, but it doesn't really matter about Nif. He's just going to back away from that one. They turn back off towards Baron.
See, I don't even agree with Copenhagen Wolves starting the Baron there, because you know SK is gonna come.
You lose the health.
Yeah, they're gonna, not even the health, you're gonna lose the positional advantage. You could be anywhere except Baron Pit and punish them for face checking, but it doesn't even matter. They have this big of a lead and they punish SK. SK doesn't take you down in one combo. They will never take you down at all. Too much kite, too much repetitive poke coming out from the Wolves, and looks like they're taking this game.
Well, they're taking the Baron and they're taking the inner turret on that top lane. And we see that Candy Panda actually went to the bottom lane to push that one even further out. Those minions should get cleared. As Forgiven actually going to dive in the Culling. Everything landing there on towards Nif Sona, and that's going to be an inhibitor from this one. Surely, actually, SK have just pretty much all spawned in there, but they're going to lose that inhib either way. Copenhagen Wolves can be very happy with this one, with the fact that, you know, that mid lane and push right the way through as well, and they're going to have a go on these Nexus turrets.
Yeah, this is why Candle came back. Split pushing when they take your inhib is generally fine because you can't stop it, but they're risking losing their damn base, and that's really just a call for Vayne to come back.
Well, let's see. Copenhagen Wolves having that Baron regen. Freddy falls low once again. They turn on towards the first Nexus turret. That goes down pretty easily. Jesus completely out of position there as well. He's going to have to back off. Stranglethorn's coming in. That's going to knock them back up and away, and they're just going to focus straight down onto the Nexus. It's the Copenhagen Wolves that take game number 1 here against SK Gaming. A convincing victory for them as well.
I have to hand it then, except for maybe the Baron plays, which is maybe my pet peeve, and I maybe go on a bit too much. They played really damn well. They knew the strengths of their composition, they knew their weaknesses, and they played around SK's composition really well. I hope SK, yes, they're going for comfort champs. They all feel like they feel comfortable on Riven, they feel comfortable on Renekton, they feel comfortable on Lee Sin, but putting them all together, I'm not sure if it all works.
Yeah, your comfort champions still have to fit into a composition that works and is not going to be count. I mean, we know how well Kautar plays Zyra, and that Zyra pick against 3 champions that have to come at you is a perfect counter, surely.
Yeah, you have to admit though that it's rather unconventional, Zyra mid, and it's really new probably for Jesus to play against, add some little nerfs to that, and perhaps he was unlucky because he got hit by a plant hit that was pretty far off, and it was almost, I don't think either of us saw it coming either, and he was probably hoping to get his shield back up and then dash out of the lane. And if a Riven gets behind, it's really hard, but if somehow he gets a gank on that Zyra, they can kill her over and over and over again, so it's not as bad as we make it seem sometimes here, because it all snowballed from the early game, and SK's composition, if they get behind, it's really hard for them to get back unless they make these insane picks with Crescenda.
And just to go through the scores there, the guys that actually got kills in the end, because Youngbuck ended 0-2-7, 0-11 for Unlimited, but 6-1-5, amazing in the jungle with Shyvana. Don't think we'll be seeing any Shyvana unless it's for maybe SK next time around.
I hope not. I think it's really strong.
Yeah, 5-1-8 on that Zyra as well in the mid lane. I think against a team like Copenhagen Wolves, where you know Zyra could go in the mid as well, it's not a bad ban.
It might not be a bad ban, but I think Nif can definitely deal with Zyros in the bot lane. I don't know. I'm not too familiar with all the other champions because you only have 3 bans. You have to know, like everybody, every game we watch, everybody's like, why didn't they ban that? Oh, they should have banned that. But then something else could have been open.
Because you only have 3 and they have to count, that's for sure. And then 5-1-7, great Lucian play coming out of Forgiven, showing that you know, he's the man to come in and replace Reckless, which was always going to be big shoes to fill, but doing a great job from what we've seen.
Yeah, very, very well. Great team fight play, good positioning, zoned out the Riven in some of the fights, went in, knew exactly when to go in and pop his all his damage. Great usage of the culling, very impressive.
Well, that'll be 1-0 for the Copenhagen Wolves. We'll see when we come back after a short commercial break if SK Gaming can turn the tables and take us into Game 3. Don't go anywhere, guys. The Intel Extreme Masters Cologne Amateur Tournament continues right after this.